Hello, welcome to The Next Word. I'm your host, Christine Warnke. H H Leonards is the visionary founder of the Mansion on O Street, one of Washington D.C.'s most imaginative and iconic cultural institutions. A champion of creativity, community, and social impact, she has spent decades transforming the mansion into a sanctuary for artists, authors, musicians, and thinkers from around the world. Under her leadership, the mansion has become a celebrated nonprofit museum and hospitality space known for its whimsical design, hidden doors, and deep commitment to human rights and artistic freedom. H H Leonards is also the founder of the O Street Museum Foundation, where she has cultivated a mission rooted in diversity, healing, and the power of storytelling. Her work has touched global leaders, civil rights icons, and countless visitors who find inspiration in the spaces she has created. Through her dedication, innovation, and unwavering belief in the transformative power of the arts, H H Leonards continues to be a force of nature and ingenuity. Welcome, H, and what a story. All from Lafayette, Indiana, where you were born.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
You have to tell the viewers, though, how you got to Washington, D.C.
Sure.
And bottled up all that creativity and brought it here.
So I was a sports fanatic growing up because that's all you really had. And every time there was a game, my parents, we didn't have a television, would gather in the kitchen and listen to sports. And part of our ritual was putting our hand over our heart and singing God Bless America and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. So I became not just a sports fanatic, but a true patriot. So I wanted to join the Marines when it was the first year where women were allowed into the military, and I marched down to join the Marines in my hometown, and they didn't want women in the military. So after 3 times of them losing my paperwork, I said, God's telling me to come to Washington to help my country. So I came to work as a nanny for the son of my congressman in Indiana for his 7 children. And I loved being their nanny. But I was also very disillusioned because I didn't meet anyone that wanted to help their country. I found Washington to be what's in it for me town. So I, through visions of God, in my imagination, I said, I'm going to create this place. And I went for it. And I wasn't fearful of anything because I had the visions from God to create. So I bought the house with credit card cash advances. I had $50 in my savings account. And I am an example of whatever your mission and vision is in life, you can do it if you believe it. Because I had no education to do what I'm doing. I had no business background to do what I'm doing, and definitely had no money.
But you say that, I think, in some of your memoirs, that you weren't artistic.
Right.
You weren't a businesswoman.
Right.
You weren't creative. But look what you've created. So what sparked that creativity in the mansion?
Really wanting to serve my country and to serve God. The combination of those 2 things. And I am an introvert also, so I'm very shy. So I'm creating this for other people to dare to be different, and anything is possible. So it's really to help other people.
Fascinating, because if you go into the mansion, you create all these secret doors and pathways, and you could get lost in there for days. How did you create it?
Well, we really want people to get lost, because if you don't get lost, you never get found. And you have to be able to say yes to whatever God brings you. So you don't have to plan your life. You just, when magic happens and miracles happens, you say, let's go for it, let's do it. But it's just I follow the visions that I'm seeing, so I know what jobs I can take on and what will be successful. And I know how to get there. I have a very strange brain.
It's fascinating, and you do keep it open to the public.
Yes.
And how do you do that?
You go online. Yeah. Any money that we have doesn't go into advertising. It goes into serving others for our programs. So that with social media and as it advanced through the years, it's been a huge help for us. Yeah. But I always felt that your best advertising is doing good work, because other people will tell people to come.
Right.
So 40% of our tours are repeat people, and they come back every week, which is incredible to have a museum where people want to come back, because every day is an adventure. Every day it changes.
It does.
And
So you
that's
add,
the joy. Yes.
then you take,
We take rooms apart, we change the art, we move the exhibits. So it's never, same heart, same feeling, same exhibits sometimes, but it's different. So, and everyone wants change, they want to learn. So through fun ways of coming to the O and seeing the changes, they go, oh, you know what, I'm going to move my sofa in my house a little bit different. And I love this piece of art, but I'm going to move it over here, because if you keep things in the same place, you stop looking at them.
interesting. But even before you created this amazing space, you also are a businesswoman.
Well,
And you sold, what, $100 million worth of computer equipment?
Yeah, but that's again being given the opportunity to say yes. So I didn't have any experience. Like, I was asked to be a consultant to the chairman of Ogilvy and Mather. I didn't have any experience to be a consultant for marketing, but I helped him create cause-related marketing. But because he asked me to, and I, instead of worrying about it or thinking about it, I just said, sure.
Amazing. So in the early years of the museum, what was the thing that made you really smile and think about when you were creating? I mean, it's really a masterpiece, and people are amazed when they walk in.
Thank you.
What are the things, though, that hold near and dear to your heart?
I think it's the people that come through that is the motivator for me, because so many people have so much inside of themselves to express and don't have a place to do it. And when they walk into the house, all of a sudden they feel that they can do anything, because they're empowered to do that. And so many times in your life you forget about pieces of your life. It's like you put them in a little shoebox in a shelf. And by coming through the house, you see these objects of your past that you remember a piece of yourself, and you re-anchor who you want to become that day. And that's really the purpose of the house. Every room, every piece has meaning for somebody, and they find who they want to become over again. Because so many times you forget. You're so busy in your day-to-day existence that you forget how you want to serve others.
Yeah. And you have rooms there that you can actually stay in.
Yes.
And I have not been up to your rooms, but each room is unique.
Yes.
Can you tell us?
So you can stay in the safari room, and in the safari room you can actually, through augmented reality, because we have a huge digital program, you can pick up your phone and see an actual safari in that room. A lion comes out of your phone through augmented reality. You can pet the lion, do a photo op, and then you can close your door and sleep in that room.
Now that I
So
did
it's
not
fun.
know.
Yep. We're
Other
creating the
rooms?
largest outdoor museum in the world in Washington, D.C., using augmented reality, animation,
Unbelievable.
music, and immersive storytelling. And we started it in the museum, and now we're expanding it to tell the history of Washington, the history that people don't know about.
And you started out with one building,
Yes.
and then how did you acquire all the buildings next to it? I mean,
As they
That's
came
funny.
up for sale, I said, I've got to do this. And again, didn't have the money, so one of the houses was through my life insurance. One of the houses came from Ogilvy and Mather, because they paid me a huge fee for one of their cause-related marketing concepts. So it's just not worrying about not having money in the savings account, and worrying about who you're serving, and saying the words yes to whatever God brings.
So you have there are 5 houses, correct?
There's actually 6.
There's 6.
5 connected, and then one across the street.
Right, the one across the street.
And that's the Rosa Parks safe house, because
Oh,
she
what
lived
t-
with me for 10 years.
What amazing. We have to
Yeah.
talk about that when we come back, because that's a whole story in itself.
Yes.
With Rosa Parks. I didn't realize she lived with you for 10 years.
Yes.
Wow. Now
And
I
I
know
didn't know who
connection.
she was for 3 years. That's even more embarrassing. But
more.
it shows you I wasn't a good student. I'm a student of life, but not education.
Education. Well, we can't say that, because you've written books. You've brought so much creativity to Washington. And people, it's a little hidden jewel, really.
Thank you.
People do not
Wow.
know the museum is there. They don't know that they can stay there. They don't just know all the artifacts, and you have guitars from famous, famous singers like oh my God, I mean, they're everywhere. I mean, you walk in, you know, it's just every piece you focus on.
Well, people,
It has
one
a
of the
history.
things, it has a history, like people don't know, this is the first time I'm saying it in public, Prince used to come at 2 and 3 in the morning and write music. So he donated his
No.
Purple Rain jacket.
Oh, come on. He donated the jacket. You still have the jacket?
We do.
How
But
come I haven't seen the
I never
jacket?
talked about it publicly because I want the artists to be able to come privately and disappear and do what they love. And most artists are in introverts and exceedingly shy. So having a place that they can disappear in
Right.
and be publicly there if they
Right.
want to be, it's
Yeah,
their choice.
right.
But so he would, at 2 and 3 in the morning, he'd be writing on a sofa in the ballroom, music.
In the ballroom, in the music. Prince would
And
be.
if you were lucky enough to be in the house when he was, you could walk through, but no one ever, you don't recognize people when they're out of their persona.
Right, right,
So
right.
one of my funniest stories is we do gospel brunches and conversations, and we had a well-known gospel group singing, and Emily Lou Harris was staying there, and she came down on the Sunday morning and she started singing in the audience, and she was out of her persona. And someone standing next to me said, "Oh, H, you have such talented neighbors."
That's great. I had no idea about any of these things. Although I know your brother-in-law was very involved
Yes.
in the musical business, and he
Yes.
represented a number of groups.
Yes.
Correct, like
Ringo,
Ringo,
Cat Stevens.
Cat Stevens. Oh
yeah,
my God, Cat Stevens.
the Joe Walsh of the Eagles. The list goes on.
The
and
list goes on
The
and on.
Allman Brothers.
Yes, right. But he's not physically in Washington. He's also in. He lives
Well, a
in-
lot of his memorabilia has been donated to us. So
has been donated.
his things are there, and he's in Washington frequently.
Yeah, yeah. But going back to Prince, so you have the jacket.
Yeah, and we also have his gold lame suit that he wore at his wedding. So
Wow, what a story!
it's yep. And there's there's My Fair Lady. What is her name? Audrey Hepburn's dress from My Fair Lady. So no matter what you love, you'll find something there that
Yes.
opens your heart to have conversations. It's one of the few places that people talk to each other, even strangers.
Right, which is
You go to
wonderful.
hotels, you go to restaurants, no one talks to anybody, no one smiles at each other. At our place, people sit down and have these deep conversations with strangers, and then they become best friends.
Oh,
One of
wonderful.
my favorite stories, we had 2 hotel guests having coffee together, and they hadn't met before, and I walked through the room and they were just having coffee and sweet rolls, and I came back through maybe 20 minutes later, and one of the gentlemen was crying. Tears were coming down his face, and I thought he had gotten a horrible message that something had happened, and I said, "Sir, can I help you?" And he said, "You have to understand what just happened. We were sitting here talking. We've gone to this tech conference for 10 years around the country, and we started talking about our lives, and we found out that he was my neighbor when I was 7 years old. My parents packed me into a car and drove off. He was my best friend. 2 hours into our driving, they said, "Oh, by the way, we're moving." I never got to say goodbye to him. It was before computers and Facebook,
Right.
so I didn't know how to track him down. He was sitting with me. I haven't had a friend since then because I was afraid of losing him, and you've brought us together. And
Oh,
those are
what a
the miracles
story.
at the O Museum that happen.
Yeah.
Talk
a
to
lot
each
of miracles
other.
happen. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to go back to talking about more miracles that have happened there. I'm just finding this out.
Thank you.
You're watching The Next Word. We are going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
56 men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing it could cost them everything. Their homes, their freedom, their lives. They signed anyway.
America was not built by staying silent, but by courage, by sacrifice, and by those willing to step forward. That promise was never just words on paper. It's been tested and renewed by ordinary people with faith, conscience, and conviction.
Now that promise is calling on us again. Signing the Declaration of Independence is a nationwide invitation to reflect, to recommit, and to help shape what comes next. Because every voice matters, and every signature moves us forward. Add your name. Help write the next chapter.
Land of freedom, land we love.
Welcome back to The Next Word. I'm your host, Christine Warnke, and our guest, H H Leonards, not only founded the mansion and museum on O Street Northwest, but she serves as a board member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Amazing that you're doing all of this and you're a board member. I mean, what has, as you see it, has the responsibility, as you see it as a board member, on this incredible rock and roll
So I want
Hall of
to
Fame?
tie it back a little bit to how I got on the board.
Okay, yes.
Mrs. Rosa Parks lived with me for 10 years, and she asked me to be on the board of her museum at Montgomery, Alabama that was being built, because that's where she's from. So my son is in school in Massachusetts, and there's an auction. And being a sports fanatic, he wanted to me to bid on an opportunity to go to Cleveland to see a series of 3 games, and also meet the president of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I bid on it, I won it, and 3 days before we went to Cleveland, he comes to me and says, "Mama, I want to go to the Oakland game, and I'm supposed to speak in London at Parliament about technology." And I looked at him and went, "Okay," and called somebody else to go to Parliament, and we went to Cleveland. Anyone else would have gone with the ego, which is Parliament.
Right.
My foundation is family. So we went to Cleveland, had a great time at the games, and the last thing we did was go to the museum because he's 7 years old, he could care less. And coming down the escalator of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is someone that had just stayed at the house, and he stayed at the house all the time. He's the president of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I burst out laughing, "Why did I pay to meet you? Because you're at the house." But I never ask anyone that stays at the mansion what they do or who they are. I talk to them from their heart. So I had no idea he ran it. And so part of it was the tour through the museum by him. And we're walking through the museum, and I'm asking questions not about music, but about how did you decide to do this exhibit, and how much did it cost? What a brilliant idea, who created it for you? Because I was thinking about the museum on behalf of Mrs. Parks. What could I learn from them that I could take to Mrs. Parks and help with her museum? And he said, "I don't know these answers, talk to my curators." And then at the very end, he said, "H, no one ever does an exhibit like you did about these questions, but let me tell you how it works." Yoko called me yesterday and said, "I want to do an exhibit of John Lennon's artifacts. It's going to be the 20th anniversary of his death in 6 months and the 60th birthday. And I'm ready to show the bloody glasses," and she talked about the other artifacts. And he said, "I'm sitting there on the phone saying, how do you say no to Yoko?" I said yes, hung up the phone, and cussed. How am I going to raise $500,000 in 6 months to put this off? I just committed us to doing this. And I looked at him and said, "Wow, Terry, can you give me 24 hours? I think I know how to get the money for you."
Wow.
So I called. I was working as the CMO of a tech company, and I was also running the mansion at the same time. And I called the CEO and I called the CMO. They were in different parts of the world, and I said, "We have a great opportunity to sponsor John Lennon's exhibit at the Rock Hall. Can you be here within 24 hours?" One came from Asia, one came from Europe. They arrived at the same time at the Cleveland airport. They did not like each other. The CMO thought he'd make a better president. The president thought he'd make a better CMO. So I knew I couldn't go to the airport to pick them up. So I told them to take a board member to pick them up and give them a tour of Cleveland, bring them to the Rock Hall. Terry, who was the president, would give them a tour, and then I'd meet in the conference room. So they both came in. They saw me. They couldn't be angry in front of other people. And so they were presented with this great opportunity. And the president, who was a rocker and had his own band, said, "I can do this. I'll give you $500,000.
Oh, wow.
The CMO said, "Well, if you give me the rights to the name John Lennon and Imagine for a year, I'll give you another $500,000. And then the president, to up the CMO, said, "Do you need networking equipment?" And Terry said, "Of course." So they gave him $1.5 million in 24 hours, and that's how I got on the
Amazing.
board.
And that's how you got
And
on
I
the
was
board.
the first woman on their board and the first out of Ohio person on the board. And it was all because I committed to my son, not to the
Not to-
ego.
And you were the first woman.
Yes.
And it's housed in Cleveland.
It's housed in Cleveland. It's
I
a
had not realized it.
magnificent museum, and they're just about ready to expand by 50,000 square feet and connect the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Museum with the Science Museum. So you can it's amazing.
Wow. I know we're not going to have a lot of time, but I want to get to Rosa Parks.
Yes.
Because you all had an incredible relationship. She lived in your house across the street for 10 years. You ended up writing a book on her. Let's talk about her. Wow.
And it's not a history book. It's about her soul. It's about her mission and vision, about her lessons of leadership that she taught her entire life. And through osmosis, she taught through me. But I didn't know who she was for 3 years because I was a bad student. And when a friend of mine said, "Who is that?" and I told him, and he said, "Do you know what she's done?" And I said, "No," and then he told me. I was so embarrassed and humiliated that I didn't know that it took me weeks before I had the guts to confess that I now knew who she was.
Wow.
And she held my hand, which we always held hands, and she said, "That's okay, dear. It's God's way, because if you had known who I was, I might not have stayed here as long as I did, but I trusted you because you love me for my heart and not what I've done."
Oh, wow.
And she felt, and so things work out. But it was embarrassing. And then
story.
she said, "But now can you travel with me? Because you know who I am." So the next 7 years, I got to travel around the
Wow.
world with her. And then I got to listen to what she had done from her words, not
her
from
words.
reading.
So the 51 steps.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because that came out of
So
your relationship.
Mrs. Parks taught me something really valuable that I did not understand at the time, but she repeated it over and over again. That we're spending time with people that believe like we do. We need to spend time with people that don't believe like we do so that we can change their hearts. If we don't change people's hearts, the laws will revert back and we'll be back at the beginning. So whenever we traveled together, we would always go to clan meetings together, and she would always put her hand out and reach out and touch people, because she felt if I can touch people, they won't fear me, and racism is from fear. So our 51 Steps to Freedom is an augmented reality tour throughout Washington. It's outdoors, it costs nothing, it's free tickets. We have 133 stories that are up and running now, talking about hidden figures, things you don't know about history that made our country great. And it was really her concept. We need to change hearts. How do you change hearts? Through education.
Right.
And learning about things that you don't read in the history books, about what motivates these people, what makes them be able to survive acute pain. Mrs. Parks suffered her entire life, and it wasn't just from white people, it was from blacks, Native Americans, and women, because she had all those things within herself, and she was proud of her heritage, but she understood deeply, because of her personal experiences, what it was to be discriminated against.
What a story. We're not going to have too much time left, but because we are celebrating our 250th anniversary of our great country, the United States of America, I know you have a whole platform on signing of the Declaration of Independence digitally. You're going to take it across the country. Talk about that.
Every small town in America, every big town, every place there's an event, a concert, a sporting event, you'll be able to lift up your phone and see George Washington and Thomas Jefferson come out. Immerse yourself in the experience of them talking to each other in a very short TikTok moment. It's like a Pokemon Go of history. And then Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration, will ask you to digitally sign. And while Sam Moore sings "God Bless America," you'll see your name go up on a digital wall permanently. You can take your picture of your name being on the monument. It's pretty exciting. And we're working with all sorts of organizations, from baseball to Miss America pageants to the tall ships that are coming from New Orleans up to Maine. As they go by ports on the East Coast, to be able to lift up your phone, see the ships coming in, learn about the ships through our augmented reality experiences, and then digitally sign the Declaration. We're working with the White House, we're working with the National Endowment of the Humanities. It's very exciting. And this is the perfect year for our country to come together as one.
Right. And you're working with the Commission
Yes.
on the 250th anniversary.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they're really focused on
They are.
It's a wonderful group of people that are committed.
But where'd you come up with this vision to do this?
God and Mrs. Parks, we've got to change people's hearts and realize that we're more similar than anything. If she can go into a Klan meeting and
amazing.
shake hands, we all can come together and shake each other's hands and hug each other. It's our 250th anniversary.
A little secret, because I wrote about it. The Klan was actually headquartered here in Washington,
And
D.C.
Yes, and even to tie together the Beatles and music, they were protested when they first came to Washington by the Klan. So you
They
never
were.
know. Yes, it's documented.
When they came, the first, and they were amazing.
Yep.
Interesting. So when they would, and also
So
when-
life is like this
yes,
if you let it.
yes. And when they would march, down, let's say Pennsylvania Avenue, they would march diagonally. Of course, because it looked like there were far more many people. When you march diagonally,
Oh, that's interesting. I
yes,
didn't know
yes,
that.
Yes. Fascinating. I mean, all your amazing projects. I mean, H, now, there's one other project on the arts that you're asking young people to participate in an arts.
So yes,
program?
in the National Endowment for the Humanities is running a national art program for students from 3rd grade to 12th grade to apply to be a part of a contest for July in Washington on the Mall. And they're bringing 150 students from around the country to Washington for a free week in Washington to see your exhibit. What a great thing to be able to tell your grandchildren that on our 250th anniversary, your art was selected in our nation's capital.
And hopefully you may keep that whole program going into many other...
Beyond forever.
Beyond
because
forever.
art is beyond forever.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, I've seen arts exhibited in the Capitol and other places, but this is going to be really special.
Yep.
Because it's going to be on the mall?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It'll be enclosed on the mall, but people from all over the world will be coming to this. Every state in the union will be represented on the mall. Every county is participating in this, and it's a huge spectrum of our culture and our heritage.
And H, if people want to get involved with the commission's work in terms of helping them participate, be a volunteer, is there a pathway for this at this point, or is it
200
the
and
250th?
250, freedom250.org.
Okay.
And they'll find out all the information there. Or you can go to omuseum.org and find out more information. Or this is the woman that does everything. She'll help you out.
So back to the museum. You've built this amazing museum. But what has really, I think I've heard it, and I think our viewers will certainly hear it. But it's guided you through such diverse work, and let's face it, you've done the gamut.
But it all ties together. So it's a lot of different things, but they all have one mission: to serve God and to serve our country.
That's a great
And
way
that's
to end.
really,
Yeah. Well, thank you. This has been so enlightening. I had no idea.
and we've been friends for years.
And we've been friends for years, and I had no idea. Oh my God. Thank you, really, for doing this and being here. We have to bring you back and back again.
Thanks.
So you've been watching The Next Word. Tune in for our next episode of The Next Word, and please email us at info@mmctv.org for comments, suggestions for future guests. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.